Hold on. And unfortunately, my recording setup decided it was going to screw up and skipped my whole intro. But hello there, ladies and
Ah,
gentlemen. My name is Mildra. I am your one and only gaming monk. I wouldn't be a streamer if I didn't have Scuff. And with me, of course, is the creator of Heart of Cthulhu 1912, one Riccardo Minetti.
that's me.
So, one of the traditions around here with every newcomer is opening with the humble beginnings, in a sense. So, walk me through your first introduction to role-playing games and what made it stick.
I use bad words,
Yes?
so my answer is fuck. So it started not even with the red box. It started with an Italian role-playing game that was called Uno Sguardo nel Buio,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't even know what a role-playing game was. Understand this? I didn't speak English at the time. I was like, I guess, 14 years old, and I was a war gamer. I played war games from the Avalon Hill, like I don't know, Napoleon and Austerlitz and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were in Italy there come um, game books like Lone Wolf,
Mm-hmm.
and by mistake I bought the role playing game, thinking it was a game book. I said, but this is not a game book, and then I got hooked. It's like like people that give drugs in front of school. You just try once and then you are fucked. And then it happens that someone gifted me the Lord of the Rings. That was a very, very bad move. And, that was my way into the nerdy way.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Now,
stopped.
now, when they gifted you Lord of the Rings, are we talking the original books, or are we talking like Middle Earth role-playing?
No, no, no. Original book.
All right.
Original book.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure on that. So,
It was the one book that I said I will never ever manage to read it all. And then I ended reading it like 14 times in 5 years, which is not a record, but again, fuck.
yeah, I can get that. I had a,
Uh,
I had a teacher once who said I couldn't get through all of War and Peace in a week, and I took that as a challenge. So I did it in 6 days.
yeah. Did
Um,
you survive?
yeah, and
But
they were so confident that that I wasn't going to do it. They said, if you can do it in a week, then lunch is on me for the rest of the month.
oh,
I'm
good
like,
call
oh,
then.
all right, bet.
No,
So,
I believed on a more serious tone that at some age you are looking for your compass, and it doesn't matter where you find it, but you need the compass at that time.
mhm.
Um, I changed school, changed friends, and that time, it this combination, game books and Lord of the Rings and stuff, just put my mind on fire. It, but not because oh so great, so something. It's just because my imagination started to play, and role playing games that have two things: imagination, and they are cooperative. And for me, those two things made made my. I believe they kind of shaped my teen years, and as that, they shaped my adult years as a consequence, and
Mhm.
all came
Okay.
because it arrived in the right moment when I was looking for a kind of compass. Can't escape.
Hmm. Yeah. So, were you were you the type over the years that stuck to one or two specific role-playing games, or did you jump around between systems over the
Uh,
years?
I'm a jumper,
Hmm.
but again, um, role-playing games are very different from board games. You cannot do a one shot one evening and say I played it because they change, because they you go up in levels, you develop campaigns, and basically because it's an experience that you share with other people. So mm, it's never like a match. It's always about the full championship, the experience with the game. But in every group of friends, you don't go at the same speed. There was me, like very, very, very motivated. I bought the game. I organized the evening. I knew the rules, and the others, some more, some less. Anyway, we had fun together, but um, because you cannot push your team at your speed, where do you put that energy? So you have the game that you play with your friends, and then the other five games, they are more or less like your Steam library.
Hmm.
You buy them, you read them, and but you never actually play. But again, maybe 2 years later something happens, and then you have the opportunity, and then you try, then you go back, then you go forward. So Dungeons and Dragons always stayed there more or less. Then come Vampire the Masquerade, Mage, Exalted, Fading Suns, Feng Shui, Ars Magica. Yeah.
Hmm.
Basically, I told you my age with
Oh, yeah.
this, but uh, the idea is just that again, you make a collection of words, a collection of ideas, a collection of, of shards of imagination. Some you manage to share with people, truly play. Some you just may little dip inside, and some stays in the periphery of your experience.
Hmm. Yep. And with that in mind, when it comes to Heart of Cthulhu, how did this idea come about to do this, and what made you want to use Daggerheart as the primary mechanics?
This comes from two directions. I need to make digression first to give context to what I will say. I am a dreamer. I believe in dreams, but uh, I also believe that all dreams need to be sustainable. Otherwise, they are just fucking around. I don't know how to say. Uh, so when Lost in the Woods started, um, we needed something that could lead our dreams, but at the same time that could be grounded on the floor. Not on the floor, on the ground, sorry. Um, so, Agarat come in very nicely for this. First, we just started playing Daggerart.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, when we started playing Daggerart, we were playing it like it was 5e with Daggerart rules, but we didn't fully understand how it changed the game. And so one of the reasons to go for Daggerart was the idea that the timing was right.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, because what I said at the beginning, you need the dream and you need something sustainable, is that Daggerart is a incredibly good, sometimes despite itself or by chance, but is an incredibly good narrative game.
Mm-hmm.
You have like the I don't know if you or the listeners are familiar with Lagrange rules, but you
Oh,
have the
I am.
experience. You have the experience. They are very simple ways to shape your character and to have the mechanics follow it. When you start playing a Daggerad adventure, you often go through investigation, travel, interaction between characters, and is so very narrative. At
Mm-hmm.
most, you call in the experiences because you, especially if you have new characters, you are describing yourself to your friends, and it's come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you reach a combat scene, immediately you like switch gear and numbers and powers come inside. The frequency of roll immediately becomes higher. But these two register, they don't fight each other. They actually fortify each other. And then after the combat, you slip back into the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And even the combat, what you lose because it's not tactical. And a little bit of me is asking why they did make all the powers following the unwritten structure of the 4E. I don't know, but this is just my mind. Uh, is cinematic. The spotlight is literally the camera in a movie. And once the guide understands this, he can create and set up encounters that are like movies, not like Dungeons and Dragons that are like a battle map and a skirmish.
Yeah, cinematics
And
was something that got brought up a
uh,
lot when we covered it on this channel in the past.
it's it, I am understanding this now writing Art of Tulu because when I begin, I didn't have it is so clear. My early encounters in the adventures were all the with the idea of let's just balance so they are strong enough, challenging enough. Now I'm trying to put layers, phases, different things to take care at the same time because at the same time in Daggerart doesn't mean in the same time
Mm-hmm.
because the spotlights creates this flowing. But
Yeah.
anyway, the reason Daggerart marries Lovecraftian horror is because it's narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Lovecraftian horror has always been between two extremes. One extreme is the investigation. You take the whole horror, but your character became most of the time became like a bystander, not not the protagonist. You are just trying to discover the story of something else. And then maybe at the end you put the little plug for that little moment. But
Mm-hmm.
you are never, when you think yourself in like in Call of Cthulhu, uh, you don't uh, you don't see the world from the eyes of your character
Mm-hmm.
because the character is almost a transparent window so that you can observe the story. And the other extreme is the pulp game, the
Mm-hmm.
monster of the week game. Let's go kill the deep ones, the House of Tindalos, the Little Tulu, and it's game like Arcan Horror, which is very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
or Actung Tulu. Um, but again, you lose the horror because the horror becomes a cosmetic, not
Mm-hmm.
a feeling when you play. And what we think is that the way to have horror and agency coexist in a role-playing game is the narrative. You need to put things from the point of view of the character. And Daggerers was amazing for this. So that's why.
Hmm. So, with that in mind, since obviously Daggerheart is leaning into high fantasy and this is leaning into Lovecraftian horror, there's a lot of stuff that, while there's certainly compatibility, has to be made from scratch to a point. Uh, one of the big ones is Daggerheart has the domain cards, which is one of the primary ways that a given class interacts with the world around them,
Mhm.
especially in more combative scenarios. Is this something that is the domain cards, at least conceptually, something that you're keeping? And is it going to
Both
be
conceptually and printed.
yeah. Is it a case where you're using the same domains as in the core book for Daggerheart, or do you have a
Same
new set of
domains,
Hmm?
no, same domains,
Hmm.
different powers. Um, let's uh, let's talk a little about what we want to achieve in terms of balance, because it's not yet finished, so I cannot say we
Hmm.
have achieved. Um, First, all things needs to be integrated in the setting.
Hmm.
I don't want that the players talk about domains, but the characters can't. The domains exist in in the setting. They are part of, let's call it, the natural laws of this world.
Hmm.
And magic exists and has been codified. And you have a Cornelius Agrippa that in the 17th century codified the magic that became with the Latin names that later were translated to the current uh, domain names that are the English name that we use in Daggerart, but they belong not just to your character sheet, but also to the setting. So the player, not just the players, but also the characters can talk about the domain.
Hmm.
Um, what we are changing are the powers. First, because cosmetically they don't meet the setting. And second, because we are trying to have a different, let's use the term, curve of, uh, uh, of power.
Hmm.
We expect magic to be rare at the beginning, not absent, but rare. Very few classes will have access to it, and much more subtle.
Hmm.
And then when you grow, you have an escalation in power that is comparable to the one of fantasy. But these should mirror to different ways to play the game. I don't know if it never ever happened to you to make just you can just read some published adventures,
Hmm.
and the adventure for a low level you are saving the tavern keeper daughter from goblins, and when you reach level 20 you are saving the empress daughter from demons, but the adventure is the same, just change the cosmetic and the numbers,
Hmm.
but the balancing, the concepts are the same for goblins, for demons. What we are trying to do is to have the game change is register the more your character grows. And Daggerat, as you know, is divided in 4 tiers.
Hmm.
So at level 1, tier 1, you are discovering the mythos.
Hmm.
And then tier 2, you are investigating the mythos. Not because investigation has no fighting, but because you don't know. You character, you player, at the same time, you are trying to understand this world. You are trying to understand how much this world is different from what you know. We have a pretty historically accurate world at 1912,
Hmm.
but on that you need to add mythos and magic, and they have been there for before history. So it's the world looks the same, but is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then you reach tier 3, and then you take the fight on. You start to get your responsibility. Your weapons will not be able to scale with you at tier 3. The hunting rifle that you used at tier 2 to kill a deep one, at tier 3 will be hard pressed to do real things. So we will have to do stuff like, I don't know, go find the lost codex of Leonardo da Vinci, find the blueprints for magical weapons on his side, build his magical weapons, and engage the T3. But this will make you more proactive. And T4 again is the apocalypse,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what makes it epic. So for this, we had to reskin all the powers. And what also happened is that recently we changed the madness rules. We had madness rules that were okay, and at some point come out some madness rules that were, oh my god, that's it, my first love. I finally found my soulmate. But we need to change a lot of powers. We need to change all the monsters to follow this. So
Mm-hmm.
fuck. But again, it's the soulmate, so you need to say yes, and uh, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So this, and I'd imagine just as well that you have a whole new batch of classes and subclasses, because if the domains had some issue of compatibility just because of a shift in genre, that's definitely going to
Yeah,
be the case with the classes. They only if I think only maybe one or two of them at most might fit, and
mm,
any
but
class that is using magic in Daggerheart definitely isn't going to fit.
yeah, but again, we are changing the distribution of powers, but that doesn't affect the concept of the class.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially in Vanilla Daggerheart, they started to change it immediately after the release. But in the Vanilla Daggerheart, the one we are basing our work on, is each class has access to two adjacent domains. You don't mix domains that are far from each other, because they are on a wheel, again, that is part of the natural laws of the world. But what changed in the classes is again the way they interact with the world and the setting, because um, monsters, classes, powers, they are not just mechanics, they are setting.
Mm-hmm.
If if I create a class that is called a bard, and I put it that 1 out of 9 of the leveling people of the world are bards, I'm saying something about the setting. Um, I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
express this.
Oh
So,
yeah.
especially if you want to make a narrative game, you need to have that all things contribute to the narrative. So you cannot have a bard, but the concept of someone that have access to race and codex,
Mm-hmm.
that is still true in Art of Cthulhu. Then we have 3 subclasses, while the original Daggerat had 2. Again, some of these are reskin because they are, for instance, you have the Entertainer, that is a subclass of the humanist,
Mm-hmm.
which is very similar to I don't remember which one of the two subclasses of Daggerat, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it's similar to one of the two. But then you have other two subclasses that goes in different direction. Uh, if I may, again, our idea is that let's try to imagine characters that are in this world. And then we need to have enough classes and subclasses that this character can fit in without forcing them too much.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a character that comes from the, I don't know, the Australian hinterland,
Mm-hmm.
it must have a way to make into the game without forcing the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a soldier from the Ottoman Empire, if you have an artist from Paris, um, they need to find a way. Of course, subclasses are generalization. We have 27 in total, but this idea is the one that is leading the concept. And then the numbers and the mechanical powers come as a consequence. You ask yourself, what this kind of person should be able to do, and also if a player wants to play this kind of person, why they choose this class and subclass in order to do what? Because you need to meet them. Again, if they wanted to kill everybody and be the strongest of it, that's not what you want. But if you want, um, the worst things a game can do to you is to promise something that is the core of your classes and then don't do it. If in you play a barbarian in Dungeons and Dragons and then you suck at fighting, that's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is what leads the classes, because once you understand where they shine, you can build everything around them, and then you start to polish, tune, fine tune. Then comes the madness rules and you throw everything away and restart. But the idea is is again not what you do but why you do. If you have a clear idea of what is the criteria that you are chasing, it gets much easier.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've danced around the changes to things like madness and sanity. And on the Kickstarter, you talk about how your sanity system gives players agency over their descent, not punishing them for that. I'd like to get into what you mean by that and how the sanity system in Heart of Cthulhu is going to be manifesting that.
Okay, maybe I should describe the system at least in rough lines before commenting on it. So basically, the sanity in Art of Cthulhu is based on the interaction of two different madness. One is called the outer madness, and one is the inner madness. The inner madness is about you, is how much you have become unnatural. One important thing, the madness we are talking here is mad with the capital M. It's the influence of the mythos, is the there being alien, there being outside our reality, outside our rules, is not about having schizophrenia or anything or mental ailments. One issue may be that the symptoms can come out as similar, and so you can get thrown into an asylum, or people can believe you mad. But again, this is a challenge, and accessory is not the root of the things. The root of the things is that we are talking about cosmic horror. Is
Mm-hmm.
not horror because it has tentacles. It has horror because it is unraveling of everything we know, of our own identity in terms of madness.
Mm-hmm.
So um, let's say the inner madness describe this. The outer madness describe the situation in which you are. It can be affected by many things, but is both a narrative tool, because when you rise the outer madness, you are giving a signal to your table that things are getting more dangerous. So you start from ordinary, which is the normal world, walking in the park on a sunny day, and then you go to unease, unraveling, and finally warping, when truly the reality there is breaking. These change your senses. This changes the way you perceive the world. This changes the way you perceive the antagonists, the monsters, and changes their power.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting part of the system is the way that outer madness and the inner madness interact. So outer madness kind of rule the register and the danger level of the scene. The inner madness handles how much deep you have been into the madness, which, by the way, if you go mm, mm, a little deeper, you get insanities or mutations, which are actually powers that you can use. If you're, let's say, if you develop tentacles, you can do a lot of things with those tentacles. But you need again to understand if you are contained, if the outer madness allows you to manifest these tentacles or not. If the outer madness is too low, people will just feel that you have sticky hands, that is wet too much, but will not necessarily notice that you have tentacles. But when the other madness rise, you will be more free to use them, but at the same time you can damage the balance of your party, of any bystanders.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, getting into madness give you more options to do, more narrative option to develop your character,
Mm-hmm.
and more strategy options in your evolution. And one things that you need to always to know is that it starts slow and became faster. The more
Mm-hmm.
you're mad, the more getting more madness is faster.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to find the balance that you want.
Oh yeah.
But again, the key is that this belongs to your character. This is not the your character when it gets madness doesn't become less, becomes different. And this brings you agency. This brings
Mm-hmm.
you things to play, place to go, decisions to make, drama to live.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why the system works.
Oh yeah. So with that in mind, uh, obviously, when it comes to this particular thing, you have the player's book and the guide's book. I'm guessing this is basically the player facing material and the GM facing material.
Definitely, yes.
Uh, within the guide's book, do you plan on having advice or guidelines for not only making Lovecraftian monsters, but also making them while keeping the horror, because keeping the horror is something that is always going to be a tricky affair when you have people who, if they're playing this, they're probably fans on some level of cosmic horror or Lovecraft, so they're a bit genre savvy.
Yeah, but we are forgetting that role players love pizza and farting. So, yes, horror is something you try to build, and a single player can destroy it in 1 second with just a pun. But first, your answer, yes, there is a lot writing about, how can I say, meta play
Mm-hmm.
that the guide needs to do in order to keep the horror.
Yeah.
And one thing that is the key here is pacing. You cannot keep your party focused on an intense emotion, as horror is an intense emotion, for 3 hours of a session. You can't.
Yeah.
Horror is done by ebbs and flows. Again, the madness. You let them play, you let them unwind, you give them a fight at madness level 1. Then you bring to madness level 2. This is not just a mechanical happening. This is a message, this is an anchor on which all the table can put focus into playing horror. Because as you said, they want to play horror, but they need to focus at the same time.
Yeah.
And this is why the outer madness is the most important things, not for the numbers, not for everything, but because when you rise it and when you lower it, you are giving a very clear signal to the table that you make it easy for them to focus on the horror, because you are not forcing them to be ready anytime, to again, to degree of concentration that sometimes is never fun. And the other things is again that horror comes from danger, horror comes from the unknown, and horror comes from surprises. You need to wave these 3 elements.
Oh yeah.
In a good way. If you rely only on one, it fails. If you go only with danger, at some point your character will become tactical. If you only go with the unknown, oh my god, it never leads anywhere. And if you only go with surprises at the 4th jump scare, people will just eat popcorn, so, But like every cooking, it needs a balance of ingredients. And again, the good things of role playing is that you are not playing alone. A table builds the horror together. It's not something that it's the burden of the guide to build.
But with that in mind, I do believe that there are a few adventures of different sizes that you're planning on putting in. One of them being, I believe, a full-size adventure taking place on the Titanic.
Yes. It's a very safe ship.
Yeah.
I advise you, if you have to travel from England to the United States ever, take a ticket there. It's sure bet.
I'm sure the people who boarded the Hindenburg said the same thing.
Oh, yep, definitely. But how could I say that? It's
or anybody who bought a brand new Corvair back in the 1960s.
But jokes apart, sorry. Before you finish the question, just one thing: the fact that you player know that the Titanic is, let's use the term, is going to sink, because I don't want to make spoiler about the adventures. Who knows if it's actually going to sink or you have the chance for something different. But again, you players, you know it. Your character doesn't know it.
Oh yeah.
It's not a big secret to keep, but this creates a tension. This helps the horror. Is amazing how it goes. And to a much lesser extent, because it develops in a kind of a much longer run. We set in the 1912, 2 years, there is the Great War. And the world is going to shit. And the players will know. And then they will know that when they see a character that tells you that, oh, the British Empire will be eternal, they know that it's not going like this. And this sense in other games maybe doesn't work, but in an horror games this is called foreboding. Pardon my pronunciation because I'm Italian, but foreboding.
Mm-hmm.
I was. Oh, then it's correct.
Yep.
Cool. And this is a very very interesting component of horror.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can finish your question because I
Yeah.
sidetracked. Sorry.
So we've talked about the four tiers. Uh, is that adventure meant to accompany
Tier
just
two.
one, just tier two? Okay. Uh,
Because in theory,
mhm,
we need to repair it mechanically, but on drive-through there is an adventure that will release it for free that is called Titanic Day One,
mhm,
that has the first 26 hours of the Titanic, and is made for Dagger Art, so it doesn't use Art of Tulu rules, just vanilla Dagger Art rules, but is a very good introduction to the setting, I believe. Uh, is a little weak as a Deckard adventure, not as an adventures, but because we kind of fit the mechanics very fast because they were not our mechanics.
mhm,
So like they say, the combat is not the most amazing combat in the world, but the setting, the investigation, the things, they are, I believe, jolly good. That said, you do that at prequel at tier one, and then you get the tier two for the longer adventure,
mhm.
and then maybe you survive.
Yeah. So I do want to congratulate you on how well the Kickstarter has done. Uh, like we have at the time of this recording, 69 nice hours to go, and it's already at 88.1 thousand euros, and you're asking for 30,000 euros. Uh, do you plan on releasing a quick start in the interim between now and the full release, or even after the full release at some point? Just do you plan on releasing a quick start in some form?
This is an interesting question because we talked about this exactly the other day. We just came back from an Italian role-playing games fair,
Mm-hmm.
and we discussed this. So before release, I believe not. The main reason is because our full attention must go to finish and deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we really want to finish this in between November and December, and being able to print these before Chinese New Year and start fulfilling in March. And because otherwise the Chinese New Year come in the middle and gets a little late. So our first and foremost focus will be on the game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at some point, we will need to do two things: a quick start and a oh my god, how is it called? A revision of the Titanic Day One for the new for the Art of Tulu
Mm-hmm.
rule set. But that is probably um, I could I say I have very big hopes
Mm-hmm.
that this game will not just stay in the Kickstarter, but will go on retail. Um, During the campaign, few small publishers approached us. We said after the campaign, but I believe it will come, especially with the successful Kickstarter behind, and especially after the product is finished, is ready, and is good. And at that point, a quick start is mandatory to approach the retail market.
Yeah.
Not so much for again for a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter should not be a sales platform. The Kickstarter, it is, yes, it is, and it is so much for so many because you have huge companies goes on Kickstarter and do things. But for us, for the indies, it is the opportunity to exist. So it is not just buying the product; is also really making it exist. And this is was how Kickstarter began. Again, a little of the dreamy me that thinks that the world is rose and peaches and tentacles. Uh, but still, yes, the Kickstarter will come before we approach retail. But we will probably not approach retail before we finish and deliver the product. Let's say we finish, because once the product is in a container, we have time. But resources are small, so it will come later.
Yeah, I can get that. Now, as far as Heart of Cthulhu itself, what are you shooting for as far as a release window? Not a date per se, but a broad ballpark of sorts.
You mean for the Kickstarter or for retail? Sorry.
For the Kickstarter, obviously for retail.
No,
That's another
I told you
kettle of fish.
we want to finish between November and December, print in January, and have it shipped to the fulfillment hubs before Chinese New Year, which is September. Not September, sorry, February. So if nothing happens, fulfillment should be March 2027.
And I can get that.
If you ask me
really,
how much are you confident, this is another question.
Yeah.
And I am not so confident because I never seen a Kickstarter arrive on time.
Yeah.
I baked so many, and so I'm wondering what choices should I do. If I see a problem in the game, is better later but better. If I see opportunities, is better again later but great. And all the other things, again, you may not know, but Lost in the Woods has a lot of experience in production. It's so because we all come from other places in the industry, always in the background. So we have a lot of experience in production. I myself, I have been I go every year to China for work and things. So again, it's something that we feel we have in control. But we are a small team, and the project is very ambitious. So the only things I can really promise is to keep everyone updated.
Oh yeah. So with that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my monastery and enjoy the madness that happens here.
But you promised me beer.
I never said that.
Damn, I tried to blackmail you. Well, you should have. You should have.
Good effort, have some steak. And of course, a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there'll be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.